Your Honor, if she can't afford to feed her kids, maybe she shouldn't have had them in the first place. Those words came out of the mouth of a 34-year-old store manager named Derek Hollins. He stood in my courtroom wearing a pressed navy suit, gold cufflinks catching the light, and a smirk that made my jaw tighten. This is Providence Municipal Court. I'm Judge Frank Caprio, and in all my years on this bench, I've heard plenty of cold remarks. But this one cut different. If you believe justice should be equal for everyone, you'll want to see what happens next. Derek didn't look nervous. He looked annoyed, like coming to court was an inconvenience in his busy day. His hair was slicked back with expensive gel. His leather shoes, I recognized the brand, Italian, probably $400, shined under the fluorescent lights. He crossed his arms and glanced at his watch, a Rolex, not a fake one either. Across the aisle stood the woman he was prosecuting. Her name was Maria Torres, 31 years old, single mother of 3. She wore a faded blue sweater with a small hole near the sleeve. Her jeans were clean but worn thin at the knees. Her hands shook as she clutched a folder of papers to her chest. Her eyes were red. I could tell she'd been crying before she walked in. "Bailiff, call the case," I said. The bailiff stood. "Case 2026 TR 004712, The People versus Maria Torres. Charge, petty theft. Complainant, Derek Hollins, manager of Greenway Supermarket." I nodded. "Good morning, Ms. Torres. Please step forward." Maria took small steps toward the bench. She looked down at the floor. Her voice came out barely above a whisper. "Good morning, Your Honor." "Ms. Torres, can you tell me what happened?" I asked gently. She took a shaky breath. I took some food from the store. Bread, peanut butter, milk, apples. I didn't have money. My kids, they were so hungry." Her voice cracked. She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. "How old are your children?" I asked. 7, 5, and 3, she said. "I work 2 jobs, but my hours got cut last month. My car broke down. I couldn't get to my second job anymore. The bills piled up. Rent was due. I had to choose between paying rent or buying food. I chose rent because I didn't want my baby sleeping on the street." I looked at the file in front of me. Maria worked as a housekeeper at a nursing home during the day. At night, she used to stock shelves at a warehouse. She made $11 an hour at the nursing home. The warehouse paid $12, but when her car transmission failed, she couldn't make the night shift anymore. Fixing the car would cost $800. She didn't have it. "And what did you take from the store?" I asked. "A loaf of wheat bread, a jar of peanut butter, a gallon of milk, a bag of apples, and a box of cereal," she said. Total came to $23.47. $23, that's what this was about. Then Derek Hollins stepped forward. He didn't wait for me to call on him. "Your Honor, I run a business," he said loudly. "If I let everyone steal just because they have a sob story, I'd be out of business in a month." She knew what she was doing. She hid the items under her coat. She walked past the registers. "That's theft, plain and simple." I raised my hand. "Mr. Hollins, I'll get to you in a moment. Please wait your turn." He rolled his eyes. Actually rolled his eyes at me. The gallery behind him murmured. I saw a few people shift in their seats. I turned back to Maria. "Ms. Torres, did you try to ask for help? Food banks, churches, community programs?" She nodded quickly. "Yes, Your Honor. I went to 3 food banks last week. They were all out. They said too many families needed help. The church gave me a bag of rice and some canned beans, but it wasn't enough. My babies were crying at night saying their stomachs hurt. I didn't know what else to do." Her voice broke completely. Tears rolled down her cheeks. She didn't try to hide them anymore. I felt a weight in my chest. This woman wasn't a criminal. She was desperate. She was a mother trying to feed her children. Derek Hollins scoffed, loud enough for everyone to hear. I looked at him. "Mr. Hollins, do you have something to say?" "Yeah, actually I do," he said, stepping closer to the bench. "I get that she's struggling. I really do. But that doesn't give her the right to steal from me. I have security footage. She clearly concealed the items. She avoided the cashiers. She knew exactly what she was doing. This isn't about compassion, it's about the law. He said, the law, like he was a district attorney. He wasn't. He was a store manager with a chip on his shoulder. Mr. Hollins, did you call the police immediately? I asked. Of course I did, he said. She broke the law. That's what you're supposed to do. And did you speak to her before calling the police? Did you ask her why she was taking the food? Derek paused. No, I didn't need to. Theft is theft. I leaned forward. So you didn't ask if she needed help? You didn't offer to let her pay later? You didn't ask if she was in trouble? It's not my job to be a social worker, Your Honor, Derek said. His tone was sharp, impatient. My job is to protect my store's inventory and profits. I did what any responsible manager would do. The gallery was silent. I could feel the tension rising. Maria stood there, shoulders hunched, tears still falling. Derek stood tall, arms crossed, completely unbothered. Let's talk about the evidence, I said. You mentioned security footage? Derek smiled. Yes, I have it right here. He pulled a tablet from his briefcase. Expensive, newest model. He tapped the screen a few times and handed it to the bailiff, who brought it to me. I watched the video. It showed Maria entering the store. She walked slowly through the aisles. Her face looked hollow, tired. She picked up a loaf of bread, held it, put it under her coat, then the peanut butter, the milk, the apples. She moved carefully, not like a professional thief, like someone scared out of her mind. At one point, she stopped in the cereal aisle. She stared at a box of sugary cereal with cartoon characters on it, the kind kids love. She picked it up, looked at it for a long moment. Then she tucked it under her coat, too. Her face crumpled. She was crying even as she stole. The video showed her walking toward the exit. She passed the registers. She walked faster. Then Derek appeared. He stepped in front of her, said something. She stopped, froze. Her face went pale. She started shaking her head. Derek pointed toward the back office. A police officer arrived minutes later. Evidence number 1, I said aloud. The security footage confirms the act, but it also shows something else. It shows a woman who is terrified, desperate, not a hardened criminal. Derek shifted his weight. Desperation doesn't excuse breaking the law. No, it doesn't, I said. But it does give us context, and context matters in my courtroom. I set the tablet down. What else do you have? Derek pulled out a piece of paper. This is the receipt from the item she attempted to steal, $23.47. I also have a statement from the arresting officer. The bailiff brought me the documents. I read them carefully. The officer's statement was straightforward. Maria had been cooperative. She admitted to taking the items. She begged them not to arrest her because she had no one to watch her kids. They arrested her anyway. She spent 4 hours in a holding cell until a neighbor could come get her children. Evidence number 2, I said, the receipt and the police report. Derek looked pleased, like he was winning. Anything else? I asked. Actually, yes, Derek said. He pulled out his phone. I also have text messages between me and my district manager. After this incident, I texted him about the theft. He congratulated me on handling it properly. He said I followed company protocol to the letter. He showed me the phone. I read the messages. His boss had indeed praised him, called him a model manager, said he was protecting the bottom line. Evidence number 3, I said. Text messages showing your employer's approval of your actions. Derek smiled wider. He thought he had this case locked up. I set the phone down, looked at him. Mr. Hollins, let me ask you something. How much do you make a year? His smile faded a little. I don't see how that's relevant. Humor me, I said. He hesitated. $68,000. I nodded. And you have health insurance through your employer? Yes. Paid vacation? Yes. Retirement benefits? Yes. I looked at Maria. Ms. Torres, how much do you make a year? She spoke quietly. About $19,000, before taxes. Health insurance? She shook her head. No, Your Honor. I can't afford it. Paid vacation? No. Retirement? She almost laughed. It was bitter. Sad. No. I let that sink in. The courtroom was completely silent. Then Derek made his first big mistake. Your Honor, I don't mean to be rude, but I worked hard to get where I am. I went to college. I put in the hours. I earned my position. It's not my fault she didn't make the same choices. The gallery gasped. A few people whispered. I saw Maria's face crumble even more. I kept my voice calm. Mr. Hollins, do you know why Ms. Torres didn't go to college? No, he said, and frankly it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter? I repeated. No, we all have choices. She made hers. I made mine. I leaned back in my chair. Ms. Torres, can you tell me why you didn't go to college? Maria's voice was shaking. I got pregnant when I was 17, Your Honor. The father left. My parents kicked me out. I had to work full-time just to survive. I got my GED while working nights at a gas station. I've been working ever since. I wanted to go to school, I never had the chance. Derek shrugged. Like I said, choices. That was his second mistake. I looked at him carefully. Mr. Hollins, have you ever been hungry? Really hungry? Not, I skipped lunch hungry, but I haven't eaten in 2 days hungry. He looked annoyed. No. Have you ever had to choose between paying rent and feeding your children? I don't have children. That wasn't my question. No, he said. I haven't. Have you ever stood in line at a food bank only to be told there's nothing left? No. Then maybe, I said slowly, you don't understand what desperation feels like. Derek's jaw tightened. Your Honor, with all due respect, you're turning this into a sympathy case. She committed a crime. I'm the victim here, not her. You're the victim? I asked. Yes, my store lost merchandise. My time was wasted. I had to deal with police reports and paperwork, and now I'm here in court instead of doing my job. The room felt heavier. I could feel my patience thinning. Mr. Hollins, I said, your store lost $23. Is that correct? Yes. And your company made how much in profit last year? He hesitated. I don't have those numbers. I do, I said. I pulled up a document on my computer. Your company, Greenway Supermarkets, made $42 million in profit last year. $42 million. And you're telling me that $23 is a devastating loss? Derek's face reddened. It's the principle. The principle, I repeated. The principle of what? Punishing a starving mother? The principle of following the law, he said, raising his voice. Mr. Hollins, I said firmly, do not raise your voice in my courtroom. He clenched his fists, took a breath, but he didn't apologize. Then he made his third and biggest mistake. He looked at Maria, pointed at her, and said, Your Honor, if she can't afford to feed her kids, maybe she shouldn't have had them in the first place. 10 seconds of silence. Nobody moved, nobody breathed. Then the gallery exploded. People shouted, someone yelled, Are you kidding me? The bailiff stood up. I banged my gavel once, twice, 3 times. Order, I shouted. Order in this court. The room slowly quieted, but the anger still hung in the air like smoke. I stared at Derek Hollins. My face felt hot. My hands gripped the gavel tightly. Mr. Hollins, I said. My voice was low, controlled. What did you just say? He realized his mistake. His face went pale. I didn't mean... Repeat what you said, I demanded. He stammered. I just meant... you said if she can't afford to feed her kids, she shouldn't have had them. Is that correct? He looked down. Didn't answer. Look at me, I said. He looked up. Is that what you said? Yes, he whispered. But Stop, I said. Just stop. I stood up from my bench. I walked to the front. I looked directly at Derek Hollins. Derek, I said, using his first name. Do you have any idea what you just said? He didn't answer. You just told a struggling mother that her children shouldn't exist. You told 3 innocent kids, 7, 5, and 3 years old, that they shouldn't have been born because their mother is poor. I didn't mean it like that, he said weakly. Then how did you mean it, Derek? He had no answer. Let me tell you something, I continued. Maria Torres didn't ask to be poor. She didn't ask for her car to break down. She didn't ask for her hours to be cut. She didn't ask to be a single mother at 17, but she is. And instead of giving up, she works 2 jobs. She fights every single day to give her children a life. She sacrifices everything. And when she had nothing left, when her babies were crying from hunger, she made a choice. A desperate choice, a wrong choice, yes, but a human choice. I pointed at Derek. And you, Derek, you who make $68,000 a year, you who have health insurance and paid vacation, you who have never missed a meal in your life. You decided that instead of showing mercy, instead of offering help, you would call the police on a starving mother. Derek's face was red. His hands were shaking. You want to talk about principles? I asked. Let's talk about principles. The principle of compassion, the principle of humanity, the principle of understanding that sometimes people need help, not handcuffs. I walked back to my bench, sat down, took a breath. Here's what's going to happen, I said. Derek looked up, fear in his eyes now. First, I said, you are going to pay the $23.47 that Ms. Torres took. You personally, not your store. You. What? He said, but I'm not finished, I said sharply. Second, you are going to apologize to Ms. Torres, right now, in front of everyone. Your Honor, I don't think, I said now. Derek turned to Maria. His voice was quiet, bitter. I'm sorry. Look her in the eyes and say it like you mean it, I ordered. He looked at her. I'm sorry, Ms. Torres. Maria said nothing, just nodded slightly. Third, I continued, you are going to complete 100 hours of community service. You will serve those hours at the Providence Community Food Bank every Saturday for the next 6 months, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. You will unload trucks, stock shelves, pack food boxes, and you will hand those boxes to families who need help, families just like Ms. Torres. Derek's mouth opened. Your Honor, I work Saturdays. You'll figure it out, I said. Fourth, you are going to write a 2-page handwritten letter. In that letter, you will explain what you learned from this experience. You will read that letter out loud at the food bank in front of the volunteers and the families. And it will be sincere, Derek, because if it's not, I will know. He looked like he wanted to argue, but he stayed quiet. Fifth, I said, you are going to participate in a community seminar about poverty and food insecurity. It's a 3-hour session run by social workers. You will attend, you will listen, you will learn. I paused, looked at him hard. And sixth, I said, if I ever, and I mean ever, see you in my courtroom again for something like this, you will face contempt charges. Do you understand me? Derek nodded. Yes, Your Honor. I didn't hear you. Yes, Your Honor, he said louder. Good. I turned to Maria. Ms. Torres, the charges against you are dismissed. Her eyes went wide. What? Dismissed, I repeated. You are free to go. She started crying again, but this time they were tears of relief. However, I said gently, I'm going to connect you with a social worker. Her name is Linda Ramirez. She works with the court. She will help you apply for food assistance, emergency aid, and transportation programs. She will also help you with your car situation. There are grants available. You don't have to do this alone anymore. Maria covered her face with her hands. Her shoulders shook. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you so much. I nodded. You take care of those babies, Ms. Torres. I will, Your Honor, I promise. The bailiff handed her a card with Linda's information. Maria held it like it was made of gold. Derek stood frozen, still processing. Mr. Hollins, I said, your first shift at the food bank starts this Saturday. Be there at 8:45 a.m. If you're late, I'll add 10 more hours. Understood? Yes, Your Honor. You're dismissed. He turned and walked out. His expensive shoes clicked against the floor. The gallery watched him leave in silence. 6 months later, I got a letter. It was from Derek Hollins. He'd completed all 100 hours. He wrote that the experience changed him. He said he met families who worked harder than he ever had and still struggled to survive. He said he met kids who reminded him of Maria's children. He said he felt ashamed of what he'd said in my courtroom. He also wrote that he quit his job at Greenway Supermarket. He now worked for a nonprofit that helped low-income families access food and resources. He took a pay cut, but he said it was worth it. I also got a letter from Maria. She said her car was fixed through an emergency grant. She got her second job back. She was accepted into a program that trained people for higher-paying jobs in healthcare. Her kids were healthy and happy. She thanked me for giving her hope. I sat alone in my courtroom after hours that day. The lights were dim, the room was quiet. I thought about Derek's words. If she can't afford to feed her kids, maybe she shouldn't have had them. Those words could have destroyed Maria, but instead they revealed who Derek really was. And more importantly, they gave me a chance to teach him. Justice isn't just about punishment. It's about transformation. It's about helping people see beyond themselves. Maria didn't need a lecture. She needed help. Derek didn't need praise. He needed humility. And that's what I gave them both. Because in the end, the courtroom isn't just a place for verdicts. It's a place for truth. A place where people are forced to face who they really are. And sometimes that's the most powerful judgment of all.